So I'm a registered psychotherapist, and what that means is that I offer non-medicinal therapies to individuals who are facing mental illness or relationship issues, historical trauma, relationship breakdown, that type of thing. So a person who's depressed might find that they're losing interest in normal things. That's one of the first signs that once they love their job and they were excited to go and see the people there, they're slowly starting to lose interest in that. Once they wanted to see their children, and they're slowly starting to spend less and less time with their children. And this is not just because they're busy or preoccupied, but because they're just not interested. Once they're interested in their spouse, they're not interested in their spouse anymore. So it could be any number of things, but they start to find that they're not interested in their normal pleasurable activities. Another sign is that they start to feel down and they have more and more negative thoughts. So they start to think that things that are happening around them have some kind of negative slant or negative meaning, whereas before they weren't so negative. Another is that they start to feel more and more tired. So many times people who are depressed, they start to feel more and more fatigued, and they're not sure why. They end up sleeping more and then not sleeping as well at night. One of the most common and the signifier for depression is what we call low mood. And what that means is sadness or feelings of hopelessness, feelings of despair. And people who are depressed tend to feel that. But how we distinguish that from sadness or from a disconnect from God, for instance, is we ask if it's affecting other areas of life. So that's, when you're not going to work as much, when you're not interacting with your family as much. And also if it's repeated. So when someone is depressed, it's not just for a week. It's not necessarily because of grief at the loss of someone, but it's something that's just come up in their life, and it's happening over time, week after week, month after month. And that's another way that we can tell. So when someone comes into the office and says, I think I'm depressed, I'll ask, how long have you been feeling this way? And another is if they feel extremely irritable. So they don't like what's happening around them. They're like people are speaking to them and they're reacting negatively and they don't know where it's coming from, or they're crying a lot. So a lot or a little, but they're crying more than usual. So they'll tear up when they don't expect it, or they might get sad when they're not expecting it. Not want to get out of bed in the morning is a very common symptom. We all have a propensity for depression, but some of us are stronger, just like with physical illness, than others. And the thing that indicates someone's propensity for depression is how secure they feel. In the therapeutic modality that I adopt, called interpersonal therapy, one of the tenets is that our sense of security in the world is what determines how strong we feel. And the stronger we feel, and that is formed particularly when we're very young, how secure we feel in the world, the stronger we feel in the world is the less we are vulnerable to the things that happen to us. That security is formed through several things. It's formed through our connection to our parents. It's formed through our relationships throughout life and how well we maintain them. Some of us aren't schooled to actually maintain relationships very well. It's also formed through resilience. So how much exposure have we had in the world, and how well has that trained us to be resilient to pain, to disappointment, to failure, and that type of thing. So the more resilient we are, the more secure we are in our relationships, is the stronger we are and the less propensity we have for depression. The less we are, or the less secure we are, is the greater the propensity for depression. So that's why you find that some individuals will go through like extreme hardship, but they won't experience depression. And some individuals, they don't go through nearly as much, but they're vulnerable in that respect.